Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining Expedia Cruises in partnership with Oceania Cruises this evening. Here I am in my Oceania robe, and we're going to have a fireside chat this evening with our wonderful rep from Oceania Cruises in Vancouver. But first, I don't know about you, but I actually received this in the mail yesterday. This is my brand new O Life magazine, and if you've got one, you really want to have a look at it. I've been on several Oceania cruises and I actually love getting this. It's got the 6 categories of cheese and wine pairings in this edition. It's kind of a great thing to go with my wine this evening. The other thing that I absolutely love, if you haven't had one of these, is Jacques Pepin's cookbook. If you don't have one of these, please talk to your Expedia Cruises vacation consultant because we might have a couple left over from some events that we've had before. So tonight, I just want to start with a brand change that some of you may have noticed. And that is we've now gone from Expedia Cruise Ship Centers to Expedia Cruises. This is something that was actually started way back in the fall, and then that little pandemic happened. And so it just kind of came to fruition here in June. So we've shortened it, which is really great for us. So you'll hear us answer the phone with Expedia Cruises. But the tagline is really important to us right now that we actually do cruise. That's what we specialize in. But we also do air, land, and of course, those sea vacations. So we're here tonight with our team. They're online with us this evening. We are your neighborhood travel experts. This is some of our team from one of our Zoom calls. And this photo just makes me laugh because we were really having a great time. And we've had some great times over this last 7 months, but we've had some kind of crazy times too, as I'm sure you all have. So reach out to your Expedia cruise consultant at any time. We are open, whether they're in the center or some of our agents are working from home. We can call, we can email, we can Zoom call like this. We are absolutely here and we can actually book anything for you. And we're here to answer all your travel questions. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the lovely Kathy Denroche from Oceania Cruises.
Hi, everybody. And Janice, thank you so much. First of all, I want to delve into the Jacques Pepin cookbook, number one. And number two, I would absolutely love to be in that beautiful, fluffy bathrobe against a fire. But I'm not. I'm here in Vancouver, everybody. And I just wanted to welcome you all and thank you so much for having me today. I know that a lot of you have been on the Tuesday talks with other suppliers, and all of us are busy trying to get life back to somewhat normal. And I have to say that, when I look at Oceania Cruises, and I've been here 11 years, I kind of think about how we need to still dream and we need to plan our trips for the future and we need to discover new things. And one of those things that I'm seeing a lot of as one of the big trends is people's kind of interest in coming to smaller ships and seeing kind of what small luxury cruise lines have to offer that's different from maybe the regular experiences on bigger ships. Now, I have to tell you, I'm a veteran of this industry, almost 44 years in the business with the cruise lines. And I've worked for 4 amazing cruise lines in the past. And this time with Oceania for almost 11 years. Before this, I was at Crystal Cruises for almost 18 years. But I have to say, the one thing about cruising, and this is where we love to kind of give you just a little bit of background, because before I talk about Oceania, I really want to understand, I want you to understand where we're coming from as a cruise industry. And that is that the travel business is the second largest industry in the world. The world actually can't operate without travelers. And so the pendulum will always swing back. We've always noticed that in any crisis before, whether it's a volcano, whether it's SARS or whatever we've talked about 9/11. But the fact is no one's ever seen a pandemic like this hit the world. And we've all heard this before. But the one thing I can assure you is when you think about how large our industry is and how a segment of that are cruise lines, 30 million people traveled last year on a ship. 30 million people. It's a huge number. And out of that, almost 3,000 got infected with COVID-19. But truly, for the people who have passed away, there were only 67 people. So spread over about 10 cruise lines. Now, that might seem like a lot to you, but when you spread it over 30 million people, it means that cruising is incredibly safe. It means that 0.001% of people get, ill or were affected with COVID. Now, the reason I tell you that is because the press has kind of given the cruise lines kind of a bad rap. But the one wonderful thing about it is that there's only 3 entities in the world that have to report to the CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control. And that is hospitals, care centers, and cruise lines. And do you know that for over 40 years, cruise lines have been reporting their illnesses and on board a ship? And that's kind of interesting to me because that means that airlines, resorts, hotels, no one else has to report to the CDC. So that's why you see cruise lines in the news. And when I look at planning and discovering and dreaming about our next cruise, I want to assure you that cruising is incredibly safe and it's a beautiful part of the industry to be kind of excited about. The other thing I wanted to tell you before I tell you about Oceania is the fact that this team here at West Shore is probably one of the most beautiful teams you'll ever find as far as knowing the product, knowing how to match and pair you with the right vacation, whether it's Oceania or somebody else. But I have to say, when I look at the extent that all of this team goes to make sure you get the best vacation ever, you are all the luckiest people to be able to deal with West Shore. So I just want to really congratulate West Shore and the incredible, extraordinary experience that they give to you. So, with Expedia Cruises, in conjunction with them, I want to welcome you to Oceania because this is one thing that I really love about this line. I came over to Oceania because of three things that have always been our pillars. Number one, small, beautiful little ships, six ships. Four of them are 30,000 tons. It doesn't even make, if you don't know the size of ships, it doesn't matter. But what it means is that three of my little ships could fit onto any one of your big premium ships that you see in the waters in Victoria area. So it means that we're small, and that means that we get into places that big ships can't go. It means that we come into a place like St. Petersburg that we actually dock in front of the Hermitage for 3 days. It means that when we come into Monte Carlo, we're an actual yacht in someone's backyard feeling. When we come into places all over the world, like, La Spezia in Cinque Terre in Italy, it means that we're one of the few small ships that still is allowed to come in there. So we keep very small and intimate. And that's one of the great things right now about cruising into an adventurous, immersive itinerary like Oceania is that we have these great small ships. And then we pair that with some of the most exquisite itineraries you've ever seen, starting from 7 days to 180 days around the world. Now, I want to also tell you the one pillar that has never changed is from the very get go, Oceania decided in 2003 when we came out that we were going to be the cruise line officially for foodies. That meant that it wasn't just about gourmet meals. It meant, because what does that really mean anyway? But the fact is, it was about the choice you had, the amount of kind of variety that you had when it came to cuisine. We were a cruise line that said we were going to get things just a little bit different than anybody else in 2003. And we said, so we're going to take away things from, you know, charging people at restaurants. We're going to just include that. We're going to have complimentary shuttles in and out of each city that we go to. And that's about 95% of the cities we do go to. We weren't going to have a kids program, but we were going to have kids on board our ship. We were going to not have big art auctions. Instead, we would fill our ships with original art from Picasso. And you see a lot of beautiful artwork on our ships and sculptures. And it's one of the few tours you can take around our ship with an audio box and listen to the history of each painting because it's amazing. So we were kind of one of those cruise lines that said, we don't want to charge people to have coffees or teas or bottled waters or anything like that. And we don't want to charge people to dine anywhere. So we're going to take away all that. And we were the first cruise line to say, get away from two seating dining and be open dining. And so you could sit exactly when you wanted to. And we had the space. These small ships mean that there's more space per person. That means more attention to detail. So these three things became a huge pillar of, kind of the hearth of Oceania. And it's something that I've always loved about Oceania, and three things that have never, ever changed about it. So when I think about what small ships may look like against the big ships, it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It means that now what happens when you come onto a small ship, the attention to detail to you as a guest is absolutely extraordinary. It means that if there's 650 guests, like on our small four ships that we have here, that there's 650 guests and almost 400 staff members. If you come onto the Marina and Riviera, two big reasons I came over from Crystal to join Oceana 11 years ago was because of the two ships that were being built. They were the same size. They were 60,000 tons. Absolutely fantastic. All very contemporary, but very warm, and lots of choice in dining rooms and things like that. So these are the kinds of things that we had. And that was 1,200 guests and almost 800 staff members. And do you know that out of those 800 staff members on board the Marina in Riviera, 400 of them are dedicated to our galleys alone. So that's when I say the cruise line is committed to being the cruise line for foodies. Oceana's, kind of incredible crafted cuisine means that it's cooked a la minute. It means that it's cooked for you at the minute that you order that that kind of choice in dining. And so it's wonderful, and open seating and all sorts of things. So we made it casual. We said no more formal wear, no more kind of tuxedos or gowns. Yet you can do that if you want to, but it's a beautiful casual kind of cruise line, and that's we wanted it to be an incredible experience for our guests. So when I talk about this, and unfortunately this summer we wanted to show off the regatta having been redone while she was in Victoria, but of course no one sailed up to Alaska this year. But it means that what we did, everybody, is we took our entire 6 ships and we redid them, we refurbished them. The only ship waiting to be redone right now is our Nautica, and she's sitting in Dubai and she's scheduled for her refit in July of this year. It had to be postponed because of the pandemic. So I think when you come on these ships, they're absolutely beautifully appointed. Everything from elegance to just this throwback, almost like a Frank Sinatra era. So you see a lot of what we do that's very elegant and very casual, but yet really contemporary and beautifully warm atmosphere on board the ship. Even when it comes to this kind of residential design that we have and the artwork we have on all of our ships. And, our incredible chandeliers and our, crystal everywhere on the ship, and beautiful original artwork. It really makes it feel like you're in someone's home. Well, I talked a little bit about our cuisine, but the only thing I will add to that is that Jacques Pepin oversees all of our cuisine. He's our executive chef. He cooked with Julia Child back in the day. He was Charles de Gaulle's head chef. He was 3 other heads of state for France head chef. And so he's got an incredible resume with him. And he came over to Oceania from the very beginning and said he was going to redesign how we did our food as a cruise line and as a cruise experience. And with that, we change our menus almost 600 times a year. Everything is absolutely done to perfection and as fresh as you can get on any kind of ship. We rival with the I would say some of the best restaurants in the world. And of course, we just started this vegan restaurant, this vegan kind of cuisine. And so we have almost 250 plant-based menus for you. We've always offered vegetarian, but now we actually have vegan food as well on board the ship. So the thing is that everything we do is right to your liking. Well, I want to jump into travel experiences because what I want to talk about is how we absolutely have some of the most beautiful, immersive, adventurous, unique itineraries in the industry. Something that's coveted throughout our industry is Oceania's itineraries, and they're curated just for you. We go all over the world. In fact, the only place we really don't go to is the Antarctic. But if you look at this map, we actually circumnavigate Australia in 35 days. We come on the west coast and east coast of Africa. We come right around South America. We do the Amazon. We go up into the Panama Canal, not very often, but when we do it, we have 4 or 5 sailings. We go up to Alaska, over to Russia, over to Japan. We actually go into New England, Canada, and then we come up into Greenland, some of the homes of the greatest fjords in the world, and then over, of course, into the North Cape, one-off cruises that we offer at Oceania. So it's only one cruise a year, and one of these happens to be the North Cape. So that little gray blob on the top of your screen there is Svalbard in the North Cape, and so that's what we do. We actually come all the way up there for an 18-day cruise where the sun does not even come down. So it's a wonderful, it's called Land of the Midnight Sun. We do Europe for 7 months of the year, and everything we do is so spectacular, very port intensive and unique. And as I mentioned before, whether it's 7 days or 180 days, we have something for you. In fact, Oceania made their reputation by having these kind of 30-day cruises. So it was interesting. Most cruise lines were doing 7 and 10 and 14-day cruises. And I actually do believe you can't experience Oceania under 12 or 14 days. But the fact is that I always kind of have this new promotion called Why Even Go Home, because we have a lot of our guests who say, can I stay on for the next cruise? Can I stay on for the next cruise? If you've done 14 days and 30 days, it's really easy to do. And if you've done 30 days and 60 days, it's really easy to do. And you would not believe how easy it is to do 180 days around the world. But I want to tell you about a couple of trends. We kind of looked at Oceania, we looked at where were people going, where did they want to look at? And the two top trends, see, the thing is 2020 was looking like an amazing year for everybody, for West Shore, for us, for all suppliers. And then the bottom of the earth fell through with COVID-19, and we had to cancel some of our sailings and move them, our guests, over to 21 and 22. And so, with those years already looking great themselves, we said, where are these people wanting to go? Where are they looking at as a trend? So, Mediterranean was number one. That was the biggest request from guests, saying, I just want to go to the Mediterranean and I want to just go on a small ship. We had, requests going to Northern Europe, that kind of North Cape all the way to the Baltics and going into Russia and Finland and Copenhagen and all the kinds of things that you expect from a Baltic cruise. The third destination was Caribbean. Those were kind of the guests who were saying, well, I want to kind of stay close to home, but I'll do something, closer in and see what I can find. Fourth destination was Asia. That meant that when we go to Japan round trip, or we do, a Cambodia, Vietnam, and all sorts of, beautiful Southeast Asia cruises, those were on the mark. They were still high up in the trend, but not as trending as the Med and Northern Europe. And last but not least, and we go all over the world, so this is just 5 of the top trends, are grand voyages. Those are the world cruises. Those are the world cruises that you can take in segments from 60 days and beyond. And I love that, because even with 2022, we have a wait list on our full around the world cruise. 2023 is about to be announced in January. So if you're interested in something like that, talk to the team at Expedia Cruises in West Shore. They will give you everything, and we can even see if we can squeeze you into 2022. So what I thought with that is I wanted to talk about the Mediterranean and the Baltics, because these are the trends. And I thought I would start out with a very interesting cruise of ours, and that is Iceland and Greenland, and going up into that beautiful crossing. And so with that, I want to say that when we look at this cruise, this is New York to Reykjavik in 14 days next July, a year from now. And we take you right from New York all the way up through Halifax and St. John's, Newfoundland. And then we take you into Greenland. And with Greenland, they've got some of the most beautiful, huge, deep fjords that you can imagine, then straight over to Iceland. And then we kind of stop in Reykjavik. The beauty about Oceania, it includes your air, it includes taxes, it includes a whole bunch of things I'm going to tell you about, but we would fly you, in other words, from Vancouver all the way over to New York and home from Reykjavik. Or if you wanted to continue on, and this is what it looks like, it's an island on its own. It's like going on to Mars. People love it. It's an incredible place to go to, but you can actually even take it for 42 days right back to New York. So this is the kinds of itineraries that Oceania put back to back to back, and it's fantastic. So this is the kind of things that you can also look at and say, well, what is this thing at the bottom of the page there? You see an O Life Choice. What is that? Well, O Life Choice means it's Oceania's life choice, because our slogan at Oceania, everybody, is your world, your way. So we're not an all-inclusive line, but we include more than anybody else in the premium market. We don't include, however, everything that the 6-star luxury lines do, and that's why we have 5.5 stars. The fact is, what I love about Oceania as a veteran of cruising is the fact that we include things that are really, really important to guests, period. So that means that we give you a choice of whether you want shore excursions, or whether you want a beverage package, which is wine and beer at lunch or dinner. And you can easily up that for $20 a day per person to have a full liquor package all day long. Or if you're not a drinker or if you're not a shore excursions kind of person, then we give you a shipboard credit. And that's in every single cruise we offer. We have a variety of different kinds of offers for you to make it your world your way and make it exactly how you want it. And that's why Oceania is incredibly successful, because we're value packed. We have it all in at the front end. So I love that. And then I'm going to talk to you also about what West Shore also offers as we get a little bit closer. So then we kind of have made it over to Europe now from the west, from our kind of what I say the west, from North America, and we come into places like the Baltic. We might start in Stockholm, we might start in Copenhagen, we might start in different areas. This is one of my favorite cruises. This is going right up to the North Cape. There's only one cruise that we do, and this is August of next year. It's 20 days on our tiny little ship, the Sirena. So when you get into Mimursk and all the areas around the North Cape, that's where the explorers started many, many, many hundreds of years ago. And they were in search of the North Cape. They thought it was land, but actually it was an ice sheet. And so we go all the way up there and we take you across and look at all the different areas in Svalbard. And then the beautiful part of this cruise is we come right down into Europe and all the way down through to Southampton. So I think it's a really cool cruise. And this is what you're going to see in the Norwegian side of the fjords as you go up there. Some of the most spectacular scenery in the world. With Copenhagen, either beginning or ending your cruise, again, going into Denmark is something that everybody kind of loves to think about doing. But this is one of my all-time favorite cruises as well, because it's 10 days, we have 12 days, we have 14 days, depending on the ship you go on, but we take you right into St. Petersburg, and we take you into the Black Sea, and we take you into Tallinn, Estonia. So where we start out with is the Hermitage. This is where we dock for 3 days, right in front of the Hermitage with the other river ships. Because we're small, we bring one of our little tiny ships in. So I love that. We're usually there for 2 full nights and 3 days. So it's fantastic. So this is just one museum in a city that is full of museums. We get to see as consumers maybe a tiny spectrum of the whole picture. Do you know that only a third of their art, of all the belongings that they have in this museum, are shown in this museum? It would take you actually, if you stopped for 1 minute in front of every exhibit in this museum, it would take you 3 years without stopping to just get up to the top of that museum. Now that's interesting because as a consumer, we're there for 4 hours. So we just show you the highlights. But 3/4 of that art is sitting in other places in Russia, all protected. So the Hermitage, Russia is incredibly rich when it comes to their history, their belongings, and things that they have. This is Christ our Savior. This is what St. Petersburg churches look like. They're beautiful. And then Peterhof Museum, of course, and everything you see is gold gilded and absolutely stunning. So we leave St. Petersburg. We kind of come into Tallinn, Estonia. This is where Rapunzel was created. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let your hair down. This is kind of a gorgeous little city. I probably would not take a shore excursion here. I would probably, if I can, just walk. Now, we don't know, and this is part of our chat coming up, is that we don't actually know how shore excursions are going to really run after, I know how they're probably going to run for the first phase when we start sailing again, and that'll probably be in groups of guests, in small groups on specific tours. But usually when we get back to normal days, this is a place that you could just be able to walk. And we will get back to that eventually, maybe not this next year, but there'll be beautiful tours that are offered. And usually in every city, we offer something like 12 to 22 tours. We have over 3,000 shore excursions in the world that we take you on, and all sorts of different kinds. Helsinki, known for its history of the World War II. Berlin, when we come into Hamburg or Vermundi, we can take a train in and see this beautiful city, which is like the new Paris of Europe, with Checkpoint Charlie, lots of history about the war, but also one of the most beautiful, contemporary, stunningly delicious, gooey cities that you've ever been to just be able to walk and have a Wiener Schnitzel at the Brandenburg Gates. It's amazing. So these are kind of cruises that you can take, whether you're going, there's all sorts of different kinds. This is a 12-day cruise. This happens to come up to Oslo. So this is a beautiful cruise because it includes a tiny bit of Norway. I love Oslo as a city. The people are fantastic and the city is absolutely beautiful. And then, of course, we come into gorgeous cities like Amsterdam, and we offer things from bicycle tours to walking tours to beautiful conventional tours there. In London, we end our cruises in a lot of places, and that's where I would do a post package or a pre package. We also do the Irish Isles. We do the Scottish Isles. We do a lot of different things. So these are the kinds of things when I talk about the trends being in the Med in Europe and then the Northern Baltic, these are the kinds of things that are booking right now as a huge trend for 2021. So we come into the lowlands, we come into places like Glasgow, and we come into Galway and into Dublin and Belfast and see all these kinds of things. And this is one of my favorite little cruises because it is such a beautiful little compact cruise and it's on one of our small ships. Or you might think about, gee, I want to do a little bit of the British Isles, but I also want to do a little bit of France. I want to do a little bit of, Spain, and I want to go into Portugal. This is again another beautiful cruise in 14 days. You can see as I show you along these itineraries how port intensive we really are. When we come into places like Bordeaux, we dock right at the gates of Bordeaux. That's a city that is full of chateaus and picnics and wandering and just taking a shuttle in to have a look wherever you want. We take you into these marquee little boutique ports of call, everybody. That's what I love about Oceania is we try and take you off the tracks that the big ships just don't go to. So we'll take you into a place like San Tropez, we'll take you into Monte Carlo, and we'll take you into a smaller experience altogether, right into Cinque Terre. You're seeing in the news maybe big cities like Dubrovnik and Venice saying we just can't take big ships coming in anymore. So they're moving ships a bit further out of their cities. But with Oceania having the small ships, we can still come into some of these small ports and just be like someone's yacht in a harbor. So when we look at some of the port intensity of these cruises, this is one of my very favorite cruises. This is the road less traveled. It's all about Spain and Portugal. And mostly Canadians kind of want to see Greece and France and and kind of Italy, but they never really asked for Spain until this last year. This is open markets. This is beautiful, beautiful, kind of markets you can go into, whether it's Bordeaux or whether you're coming onto Ponte Vecchio in Fiorenza or going to see David or coming around some of the beautiful coastlines that you see. I think you've just got a really beautiful choice. This is what Spanish cities look like. They're all tapas bars and beautiful small streets and friendliest people. And it's a wonderful place to go to. So if you get a chance and you want to do the Mediterranean, these are kinds of itineraries that Expedia Cruises can help you. Whether it's kind of more of a getting into a little bit more of Turkey, whether you're getting a little bit more southern and you want to go into Sicily and places like Rome, go a little bit deeper south, we have some extraordinary itineraries for you. Again, port intensive that you can have a pre or post on, but amazing itineraries. And so these are the kinds of things that the girls will be able to help you with, but also the variety of sailings were there because we're the longest lasting cruise line in the Mediterranean over the years. So when I take you into places like Rome or Monte Carlo or going into the Rialto Bridge in Venezia. I mean, all these gorgeous cities in the world that we get to see. I want you to dream. I want you to plan. I want you to discover new places because we will come back to cruising. I know that. And finally, as I start to wrap up on the itineraries, what I wanted to tell you was just about some sailings that take you into the deepest part of the Mediterranean. So, as we look at Venice or as we look at Athens or we look into Istanbul, we have some sailings that start through the Suez Canal that way, even starting in Rome and taking you all the way down through the Suez and into Egypt and Jordan and Israel. And this is one of my favorite cruises I've ever done, is coming into the cradle of history. This is a 20-day cruise actually starting in Dubai and coming all the way to Rome. What a cruise is it to me, it's amazing because it's just a small ship and very, very compact itinerary, but amazing history. So we'll take you into the pyramids, we'll take you into Luxor, we'll go up to Aqaba and into Jordan and see Petra. And these are the kinds of things that the Holy Land offers. And if I was going to go back on any of my cruises over the years that I've been in the industry, Holy Land would be one of the top that I would love to do again. And I love to do it on a ship because you do get to see a few countries within a number of days. So finally, here, when I talk about shore excursions now, we're changing the way we're doing things. For the first phase, we will have escorted tours. This is what we think we will have. But I was going to say they will be smaller groups, 10 to 14 people, into some of the most beautiful areas. We have go local tours. These are bicycle rides or walking tours or cooking classes with 14 people, and they're just done from a very local person's point of view, places that you wouldn't see as a tourist on a normal route. And do you know that we've even started what we call our green tours? This will be something new for us. We'll take you to areas that are developing things like wind turbines and take you right to where these operate and show you some of the things that are happening in the world that are really important to all of us. So we have over 3,000 excursions. If you want a wellness tours, you can do yoga or Pilates in some of the most beautiful places on earth, like Monte Carlo and private, homes and things like that. Wine and food cruises, all the things that you're going to see are things that you have a choice for. And at the same time, as the phases start to get a little bit more relaxed, what will happen is you'll be able to do your own thing again. And that's what I love the idea about. When it comes to value, I talked about that we have air, taxes, cruise, we have all life choice. But I think the fact is that you do have a lot of choice, and we call it inclusive by choice. We include the things that are important to travelers along the way. But what we also wanted to do was make it kind of this incentive to have people say, well, I do want to travel again. I do want to go away again. And what have you got to offer? Where's the deal? And so we had what we call our ultimate sale. This is a sale that won't end. This is a sale where we said we're going to take almost 98% of our sailings. We're going to drop the price anywhere from 10 to 30%. So we did that. And then on top of that, we offered our Expedia Cruises partners, these great people who really get to know who you are and how to pair you to the right vacation. And we said, we're going to give the month of October to Expedia, and we're going to have exclusive amenities for you, whether it's prepaid gratuities on select sailings, or when we look at it as Canadians, those on a 12-day cruise can value up to almost $400. And then all through October, anything you book is another $200 shipboard credit. And in addition, what we're doing for West Shore, because they're such great partners for us, is we're offering gratuities on anything you book until the end of October. So there's no pressure. There's no hard sales pitch here. But the fact is, you have now your taxes, your air, your cruise, you have gratuities, you have a shipboard credit, you have your whole life choice. It's almost fully inclusive. So overall, coming to a smaller ship means that we take you into these beautiful great ports. We offer you the finest of service, the finest cuisine, and it's a very casual affair. And when you want and you're ready to book, the West Shore gang is there for you. So with that, I want to just talk a little bit about safety. And Jan, I know you had some questions for me.
Kath, you're right. Some of the questions that the team has been experiencing lately, and one of them is this, that, what does safety look like moving forward with Oceania Cruises?
Well, I think that's a really good question. It's probably our biggest question, as you probably get. It's definitely our biggest question. People want to know, are they going to be safe when they get on the ship? And our answer is absolutely. Our CEO will not even let his own family on until he knows it's absolutely safe to travel. And we're part of a 3 cruise family. One is Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania, and Regent Cruises. So it's under the umbrella of NCLH. And we started what we call a healthy sail panel. And so 75 pages of recommendations. I was telling you at the beginning how safe cruise lines are, but now we've added another 75 recommendations to the Center for Disease Control that they are going to approve for the industry. And so Oceania, when it comes to safety, number one, you are incredibly, important to us, and we would never risk putting any bit of, we're not in a race to be number one, but we're in a race to be the best at what we do. Number two, our crew and our ships are absolutely instrumental in keeping them safe. And everything we're doing is going to be for the benefit. You know, we all had, Janice, I know you remember this, in 9/11, we all had to get used to going back through security lines at airports. We weren't used to that ever before that. And it took a few months, but then all of a sudden now it's a no brainer. Now it's nothing to us as a community that travels. So this is going to be the same thing on ships, but with the new health and safety protocols, you can be assured that we're not going to let you on our ship until we know it is perfectly safe for you to travel on them. And I think that's the greatest news.
Absolutely. I think the Healthy Sail panel is getting a lot of recognition right now.
It
So
really
I
is. Yeah.
applaud NCLH and the Royal Caribbean family brands to bring that to us. So that's awesome. Kath, one of the other questions that we get is that there's been so many changes to cancellation penalty structures. What's Oceania's current program going forward?
Well, and that's a really good question too. And I think part of it is, and these are probably the two most important things, whether you're going to be safe, number one, and how flexible are the cruise lines in working with them. And that's one of the great things about Oceania that I admired from the very beginning since March, when we had to pause our sailings, and we've paused them up till the end of November right now. When we paused our sailings, we actually said we're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to become more flexible for our guests. So we kind of changed final payment. So we're very flexible on that. We said we will not have any penalties, what we call our assurance program. It's not an insurance program, it's an assurance program that says that up to 15 days prior, if you're paid in full, you can cancel for whatever any reason you want without any penalties. We also said that when people are traveling, that they might say, I want to book now, but wonder if it goes on sale in the future, what's going to happen. And so we came out with our best price guarantees. It means that you do not ever have to worry from this point on. If we drop a price and you booked a year in advance, we are going to protect you. So I think it's a very flexible program. I know that you will agree with me when I say we've been very flexible with cancellations and things like that. So I think it's a really great program for everyone, as far as our guests go, for our travelers assurance program. And we tweak it as we go along, and we make it better and better and better.
Yeah, you and I have been in this industry for a long
Many
time.
years.
And I would honestly tell anyone that this is the most flexible I have ever seen anything,
Yeah,
from penalties to movement to best price guarantees. So there's a lot of good that's come out of this.
very
So I,
much.
I commend it. That's a great feature to have right now. So, Kath, the other question that we had was when will we see new itineraries announced for Oceania?
Oh, that's a great question. It's interesting. Oceania kind of builds this momentum up for guests. And one of the things I wanted to tell you was November 11th is coming. And on November 4th, just before that, we're going to actually publish our new itineraries for 2022. We have our itineraries out right now, Janice, up until May. But from May through the kind of winter part of 23, we will announce our itineraries on the November 11th, and they'll be able to view on November 4th. So you guys will be all ready, and there'll be a launch with it and the whole work. So that'll open up the doors. But what I want to do is just take one quick step back. When we were talking about being flexible, what we did is not only dropped our prices back in April and said we're going to drop anywhere from 10 to 30%. And that's what we did. And it was really great. That called our ultimate sale. But we then took sailings, like we took our sale dates like Labor Day and Victoria Day and Canada Day. And we did these sales called, kind of for up to 4 category upgrades. These are opportunities for you, everybody, to be able to look at Oceania and say, well, maybe this is an opportunity for me. So when I look at us right now, I think, okay, well, November 11th, the launch is coming out. November 25th, I believe, or maybe the 24th, we will have the Black Friday sale. So everybody at Expedia Cruises in this office will be just geared up to help you. So if there's an itinerary you want, then book it. If a sale comes up that's better, we have our best price guarantee. So there's lots of things going on, and this is how we're being flexible and trying to push out there for you to have some flexibility in price as well.
I think that is so awesome to hear. And there's been, I'd just like to make some comments about some of the things that you've covered. Is that I've been booking Oceania for a number of years, and back to the food part of it, you announced a vegan menu and things like that, and that they will custom things. And I had a client a few years ago who has an autoimmune disease, and she specifically required yogurt, but it wasn't just plain yogurt, it was actually Greek yogurt. And that ship went and got her Greek yogurt. So
Yeah.
I just commend them in how they handle any kind of whether it's from an allergy or a special request. So it's been fascinating, and we're a great partner to work with when you have a client who's got some special needs.
Yeah,
So
and I think that you
that's
guys do a
great.
great job in telling us. And as long as we know everybody before you go, if you have an allergy or sensitivity to any food, we will make sure that you are completely taken care of. Part of the reason that when I say we're the cruise line for foodies, it's not about just the quality of the food or the richness of the food, because you can have a steak and a potato if you want to. It doesn't have to always be this kind of frog's leg and cream. That's what you think about when you think about foodies, but that's not the case. It's about the freshness of everything, and it's about the how we can handle, like Janice said. And thank Janice, as you said, that kind of we take care of our guests. We want you to feel like you're in someone's home, and therefore, if we know that you have a sensitivity, we'll take care of it right then and there, and we will always approach you and say, this is what we've got for you. Is this okay? And if there's anything you need, and I can tell you countless stories like yours, Jan, that are just so amazing when it comes to the foodie side of it, is because people need to be taken care of that way. And it's not the reason you ever book a cruise, but it's always the reason when you come back, you go, I know that that cruise line has the best cuisine of anybody, and they take care of us more than anybody else in the industry. So thank you for saying that. I think it's really important.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and that's why I've sailed like 5 times.
Yeah.
So I think that's
And
great.
I'm dying to sail again. Oh my
I
goodness,
know.
everybody. I don't know about you, but I'm really, really looking forward to sailing again. And I know it'll be soon. It won't be right now. We don't know quite when the ships are coming back in the water. It all depends on CDC. But the fact is that in the last few weeks, we're seeing a huge momentum. I think you are too, Janice, and your team is seeing a big momentum, pushing, pushing, pushing to get some of the ships in the water. And we've seen some of the European players who don't have to report to CDC in the waters, and they're doing a spectacular job of it. So I know the pendulum will swing back, and we'll all be in a great state to sail.
Absolutely. And I think that right now, people are booking. There's no question that we're getting bookings for 21.
Absolutely.
People are waiting for these new itineraries that are coming out in 22. And, I would say from our center level that we actually follow those trends you talked about earlier. I think as a Canadian market, especially on the West Coast,
Yeah.
there's high drive for the Baltic.
Yeah.
Europe by far, and then inventory levels are going to remain high for 21 because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had all those 2020s get displaced. Most of them are rebooking for 21 and or now in 22, depending on the itinerary. So the
Well,
ships will
and
be full at
that's sort
100%.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say you're
Okay.
absolutely right. And what happened, and it's true. All these bookings, in fact, what was really interesting, everybody, when we paused our sailings, 60% of our guests who we paused said, don't give me a refund, just put it into 21. And what Janice was just saying is so true. There's people who are booking now into 21 and whatever itinerary it is. And there are some sailings that are completely waitlisted and they can't get on. They're going, could that even be true? And I go, the demand is there to cruise. The
Right.
demand is there to cruise on smaller ships, and the demand is there to travel again. So yes, if you want something, you see it, book it. And then if something changes, you can deal with it then. But the fact is that yes, 21 and 22 were already looking like stellar years. And now with 2020 pushed into 2021 and 22, it's even bigger than before. So there is a huge drive. And you've seen that with your 3-day Princess sail. You've seen that with all sorts of things. You even had an Oceania cruise sail back in July or August. I can't remember now, but it was a huge success. So there are people who are interested in traveling, and we all know if we've traveled before that it will come back. It'll come back better than before it started. We can assure you of that. I know that that's the case.
For sure, because we're seeing, I always believe cruisers will cruise. So that's definitely what's happening, but travelers will always travel.
That's right.
So both of those are just coming to grips with that now, and we are getting a strong booking flow for 21.
Yeah.
So thanks for mentioning that because it is important that people get the booking made on what they want. Because I checked a sailing for someone here about a month ago, and it was actually on wait list on the categories, actually any category in the veranda
Yeah.
section that they wanted. So a little disappointing, but we actually got them something higher. So that was great. But it's important that they understand what's happening and you have that risk-free guarantee.
Right. And also, Janice, I think the big thing for you, and I know you won't say this about yourself, but you know, you will play, your whole team will play a more important part than ever in the travel business. Because what happened, as we saw at the very beginning of the COVID, pauses of all the travel, was that there were a lot of people who booked directly with their airline or whatever, and were on the line for 6 and 12 and 18 hours trying to get home. And travel agents that had clients sailing, all they did was phone their travel agent, their travel psychologist and guru, and immediately they had, plans to get home. So you guys are in a very, very integral part of putting it all back together as well. And when it comes to partnerships, you're such an important team. And I know I can tell you without any doubt at all that if I ever do any training, or any of my colleagues from other cruise lines or operators do training, the West Shore group is always part of those. They always are engaged. They know exactly what to do for you. So I just want to take my hat off to you too, because you guys do an extraordinary job there. So thank you on behalf of all of us as well for taking such
Thank
good
you.
care of us.
I will thank you on behalf of our team. We love to hear that. And I think it will be important moving forward that
Yeah.
we have the knowledge, because there's going to be a lot of process now that's
Yeah.
going to be different. So it will be
Yeah.
important to use your travel agent.
Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I have, Kath. Can I just reiterate the offer?
Yeah.
So until the end of October, October
Yeah.
31st, we have a World Explorer of a $200 shipboard credit.
Yeah.
And then we have offered prepaid gratuities on any sailing, veranda and above.
Right. On any
Perfect.
sailing that you make. Yeah.
Any booking
Got
that
it.
we make, veranda and above, we get prepaid gratuities for Expedia Cruises West Shore.
Yep.
So that's a fantastic offer, because I've traveled on those offers too. So prepaid gratuities is an actual great offer. So take advantage of that. And I think that at this point, I will wrap up. My one last comment is that any of you that might have a future cruise credit with us, or maybe you know someone who has one that doesn't
Yeah.
have a travel agent right now, or who maybe booked direct, we'd love to talk to them and make sure that we will make sure that they get the perfect match and the most for that future cruise credit amount. So I would encourage you to reach out to your vacation consultant. And at this point is, thank you for booking local and supporting our amazing team here in West Shore.
Yeah.
So have a
Thank you for
fabulous,
having me.
yes, have a fabulous evening. And thank you, Kathy, for joining us all the way from Vancouver. It's been very enlightening, and I can't wait to book my next itinerary.
Come and join our family, everybody. I know you're going to love Oceania. Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
Take care.
Okay, I stopped recording. Whew.
Okay, good. Whew. Was that way too long? I'm so sorry.
No, I don't know what time it is. Oh, no, it's 5 to 7. So would you say we start at 5 after?
Yeah.
Oh, there's some people.
What did you think, you guys?
I thought it was really good.